I appreciating Mr. President for the policy they just put in place to ensure that marketers has direct loading with Dangote refinery. Because in the past, what was happening in the country is we NNPC create a kind of a middle person between the marketers and the Dangote. Even as at that time, federal government was paying through NNPC, they were paying a subsidy of 133 naira on every liter. And you know the implication of that. But now, what we are seeing today is that everything is 100% deregulated. It is now the market forces that will continue to determine price. It is what the price of crude in the world market that will continue to determine price. By implication, price of petroleum product may go up today and it may come down tomorrow, depending on the situation. And the other area where we can have a kind of advantage is the pressure on naira will automatically subside. It will come down. Then coming to what independent marketer may likely want to discuss with the Dangote is for them to be able to have their loading, which federal government has done, and for them to be able to get good price. Because Dangote has the power to determine what to sell now with the way things were. Federal government can no longer tell Dangote this is the price you should sell. No. It too we want to look at what is obtainable in other African countries, what is obtainable everywhere. We want to look at the cost of production. We want to look at the price of crude in the world market, because automatically it must make its own margin for that refinery to continue to remain in business. But as it is, I want to believe that after our people has met with Dangote, I know the distribution will be proper. When distribution is proper at a reasonable price, automatically price will crash. There will be room for competition. When there's room for competition, when the volume is all over the place, people will continue to reduce price. But when it is not all over the place, that is when there's problem with distribution, price cannot crash.
The current distribution chain has a problem.
It has a problem.
Let's look at the issue you have also raised, because you also talked about lifting. You said it takes a truck 30 days before one can also get a lifted.
Well, that is with the current situation.
Okay.
Current situation, it doesn't supposed to be like that. If a truck gets to depot, maximum 48 hours, 72 hours, such a truck ought to have loaded. But with the current situation, with the chains of distribution is not proper, the fuel is not forthcoming. Because if you move into Akure Metropole alone, if you move from even here to Ilecha Garage, few stations are selling. So we have independent that are selling. I think it's just one major marketer that is selling in Akure now as I'm talking to you, which is a Mobi. So they cannot, the NNPC is going to sell.
Is it that because of distribution?
It is the distribution problem. By the time the NNPC on Ondo Road and Mobi concluded they are selling, today, tomorrow, they need to be waiting a day for another 5, 6, 7, 8 days, if not 15 days before another product comes. Okay. So the distribution is not too proper.
But some people also said that it's also an arrangement between the marketers, that if I sell today, you wait till tomorrow to sell.
No. That is not too correct. You know, the reason is not far-fetched. If you have 45,000 liters of fuel, and you purchase it to the tune of almost 15 million naira, can you leave it and refuse not to sell? Because the interest rate of bank can even kill both the margin and part of your capital can be absorbed. So everybody want to sell fast, make the little you can make, and go back to source for another.
But this current arrangement that now, as it stands, people believe that NNPC is also still paying subsidy on what it gets from Dangote. Now that NNPC will no longer be taking from Dangote refinery, and marketers will also go there directly, then the subsidy is removed finally, and there's likelihood to buy the petrol at higher prices.
Yes. You see, I have this to say. I've just mentioned it here. Two things determines the price of petroleum product. The price of crude in the world market that is being controlled by OPEC. There's nothing anybody can do about it. It is it is a natural phenomenon. The increment, so several factors determine the price of crude. A war can cause it, that certain part of the country that has crude were no longer able to produce due to war. Several factors can cause it. And if the price of crude automatically increases, everybody should be waiting to buy petrol or diesel or which other petroleum product they should be ready to buy at a very high price. But if the price of crude crashes in the world market, automatically, Dangote will be getting his crude from Nigeria here, but it's going to be at OPEC price. That is why some people are making a mistake. When they say Dangote will continue to get his crude in Naira, people thought the Naira value will be getting will not be equivalent to the price of OPEC. The automatically price supposed to crash. It cannot crash like that. But even if you are importing fuel today into the country, the price a liter can be less than 1,800 Naira. So what we are still enjoying now is that we have the opportunity of having our refinery in Nigeria, then of having our crude in Nigeria. You have to look at nearness to market, which is part of the factor that is necessary when you want to set up an industry. Because when a market and the raw materials are close, the possibility to get things at cheaper rate is very high. And I've been canvassing this for a very long time, that Nigeria must have a refinery that is localized in Nigeria here, so that we will have an opportunity of getting our crude locally, refine it locally, and equally consume it locally. Because if you are importing fuel into the country, several factors, several fees are attached to it. Because the country where you tap the crude, you pay tax. When it gets to the other side, you pay tax. And when you are bringing it in again, you pay tax. And when it gets to Nigeria again, you pay tax. All these things are part of what the final consumer will pay for. But with the current situation now, there's nothing like that.
But when we were importing the petrol the last time, we were getting it at a cheaper price than what we are getting at the moment.
Yes, let me do the small analysis for you, sir. As at that time, when we are getting it cheaper, federal government kept paying a subsidy. Even in the last 2 months, I just told you here that what NNPC was paying on every liter is 133 Naira. Now that it is removed, you don't expect to get it cheaper, because federal government is no longer paying subsidy. And for me, for federal government to pay subsidy, the amount is so huge, and the effect is serious. Because if you look at what is happening in Nigeria in the past, all other African countries rely on Nigeria to survive. So we have to be careful. Removing subsidy is the best option for Nigeria, because if the subsidy is not removed, our borders are so porous. They will continue to take it to other African countries.
Should we suffer for that the borders are porous?
Yes, let me tell you
this. Somebody will also be manning the borders for us to also enjoy.
Our people can be very terrible. Federal government may say this is the border town. People will go far. People can take risk. They will go far and look for alternative route where they can sabotage the effort of those that are manning those roads. And the life of those that are involved are even in danger. These are the reasons why this subsidy just have to go. If it does not go, the implication is that the federal government will not only be paying for the subsidy of the fuel we are consuming in Nigeria alone, will be paid for the entire African country.
But what if the neighboring countries also decide to increase the price of petrol in that company? Does it not mean that we see people who also be smuggling fuel to those countries?
That is exactly what I am saying. In the Republic of Benin here, the price of a liter of petrol is about 1,700. And the distance between Nigeria border and Republic of Benin border is so close. So rather than people buying their petrol here to sell at 1,200, they would prefer to take it to Republic of Benin, where they can make better margin. Because businessmen were interested, they are interested in profit margin. There's nothing that will cost a businessman more than what is the profit margin. How much am I getting?
Does it not now look to you that we continue to also have this problem, this challenge of smuggling, and it's going to affect the price of petrol we have in Nigeria.
Yes, let me tell you this. With the current situation now, federal government is no longer paying subsidy. If people smuggles, it won't affect us as in Nigeria. So it is not bad. The only thing that will happen is that we will lose revenue. But it won't be as worse as when the federal government is paying 400 naira on every liter and people kept smuggling the product. And before you know what is happening, the federal government will be paying several trillions of naira on monthly basis. Money that ought to have been channeled towards the development of infrastructure would have been possible. So now that federal government has hands off from the payment of subsidy, I think is a good one, and it is the right direction.
I've listened to your news interviews on several occasions where you have also kept on talking about allowing marketers to lift directly. That will also bring down the pump price of petrol. Are you still holding on to that?
Yes. I am an advocate of a situation whereby allow people to deal directly with the refinery. Let there be no middle person, like the way NNPC was doing the last few days. NNPC was the sole off-taker of petroleum products in Dangote refinery. It was a policy at a particular time. They will now sit down again and start selling to major marketer and start selling to independent marketer. So that is not the best, but the way it is now.
Was that why you also threatened to start importing petrol?
Yes. The only issue is that if you import petrol now, the federal government policy does not favor importation of petrol. I think why they have done that is to allow the local refinery to thrive. If the local refinery thrives and we are getting all our product from there, it will go a long way. I've just told you here that the pressure on naira, the reason why you will hear that naira is naira to a dollar is 1,005 today, tomorrow it is 1,650. The major reason is the pressure of the dollar we are using in importing petroleum product into the country, because it is enormous, it is big. But now that we will not be doing that, and federal government has done it again to say let Dangote be buying naira, not in dollar. Just be watching. It's just a question of time. Dollar will crash because the pressure on naira is no longer there. Not that there's no pressure, but the enormous pressure that is coming from fuel importation is no longer there. So it's just a question of time. Things will normalize itself.
I think the grammar people in time, the consumer wants to hear is that that the price of petrol will come down. So is it feasible in the near future to also buy petrol at around 15 naira per liter?
15 naira per liter may not be feasible. When you are talking about 15 naira per liter, it's like saying you want to buy at a zero level. Okay. It's like saying we should sell our crude at a zero level. So if the price of crude stabilizes, or even if the price of crude increases, we may buy even beyond what we are buying now. But if the price of crude eventually comes down, and again we may buy less. Then if the pressure on naira, if our naira is no longer misbehaving, if it can stabilize, it will go a long way. That's exactly what I'm saying, because those two factors that I mentioned here that determines the price of petrol per liter is what is the price of crude in the world market as determined by OPEC. Again, what is the value of naira to a dollar? So if dollar, if dollar crashes and if naira comes to about 1,000 or 1,002, it will automatically affect the price of a liter of petrol. Ditto for AGO, diesel and water.
Do you think Nigeria will also be praying that the price of crude should crash at the international market when we also rely on this crude for our earnings?
Yes, nobody prays for that. Are you with me, sir? But if on the other side, I've said it here, if pressure on naira reduces, it will affect the price of crude that we are talking about. Because let me tell you this, price of crude in the world market is being determined by what is the ratio of naira to a dollar. Even when you say Dangote should be buying naira, it is still a question of what is the price of crude in the world market. So it is the equivalent naira that the price of crude it is in the world market that Dangote will be paying to federal government, because OPEC has a large country that is managing. Nigeria cannot do it because we can't decide to sell less. It is not possible. We can only sell what other countries are selling. So if that is done, I want to believe that the pressure on naira will reduce. If it reduces and naira comes to like 1,000, 1,200, it will automatically affect the price of petroleum product. That's what I'm saying, is that the price will automatically crash. And again, distribution. And now that we are equally having a Dangote refinery here, now that there is freedom, other people will want to take license and build more refinery. When there are more refineries, when issue of monopoly is removed, forget about the price will automatically crash.
I was about to talk about the monopoly, because people are also saying that there is also the need for the federal government to also take a look at its own refineries, 4 of them, Port Harcourt, Warri and all of that, that they should also come on stream to also compete with Dangote refinery. What's your take on that?
Yes, let me say this. Government don't have business in business. Any government that says it wants to do business, it can't make profit. The real function of government is to provide the enabling environment for infrastructural development. So what government ought to do is to privatize all these refineries, the one in Port Harcourt, the one in Warri, and the one in Kaduna. They should get them privatized. Let an individual, a businessman, go there and turn all the refineries around. And that is the best way to go. But even before Dangote started building his own refinery, there was an arrangement for Dangote for federal government to privatize those refineries for him. But at that particular time, our people seem not to understand the way things were going. But the student union, different type of body says it is not possible. That they do not want those refineries to be privatized. And why they are saying that at that particular time is that the fear that if it is in the hand of a private person, can they get the product cheaper? And that is exactly the fear at that time. But the best thing to do is for federal government to privatize all these refineries. And in about 15, 20 years ago, I've been hearing there are so billions of dollars is allocated. They've been using, they call it turnaround maintenance, and we've not been getting results. If we are not getting results, that was why I said government don't have business in business.
Because of our time, let's quickly talk about the modular refineries too. Would you say that the modular refineries are also doing fine in Nigeria?
Yes, I think there was one in Delta State. I think it has capacity at the moment to produce only diesel. It has not been producing petrol. But outside the country, I know that there are modular refineries, because it's not as big as that of Dangote refinery. It does not require too much money to put in place. And I remember when Jonathan was the president of this country, that licenses were given to so many people to build a modular refinery. But the question is, as at that time, federal government still kept paying subsidy. So if they keep producing, they may not be able to make profit. That was the more reason why those refineries were not coming on board, because licenses were given to so many people, but they never come.
Okay, let's also, because we're talking about the distribution. You say what we are getting at the moment, especially in Akure, is about 2 trucks per day.
Yes.
I will need up to 20 trucks per day. So what can be done to ensure that we get that 20 trucks per day?
Yes, federal government has taken a decision to be giving between 380 and 400 million metric tons of crude to Dangote on daily basis. If that is done, I know federal government has succeeded in playing their own role. What we can be getting from there is enough to saturate the entire 36 states of Nigeria. So where we are now is for Dangote refinery to work hard and ensure that production is in excess. when it is in excess, truck goes there, and with the new arrangement of direct purchase, I think the fuel will be everywhere, and where fuel is everywhere, demand and supply forces will set in, people will continue to reduce price. But when it is just 1 or 2 instead of 20, the price cannot come down.
In the last 30 minutes of thereabout, I've been speaking with Honorable Idowu Adebusui, Vice Chairman, Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria here in Ondo State, the Chairman Task Force of Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, and also former ALCOM Chairman in Ondo State, former Chief Whip at Ondo State House of Assembly, and also the current Commissioner, Ondo State House of Assembly Commission. And together we're taking a look at the independent marketers actually lifting petrol from Dangote refinery. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the show today.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
That's what's going to be on the show today. Join us on Wednesday for another one. Kunle Adeyo is my name. Good morning.